Welcome to the Beyond Anxiety podcast, where we talk about dismantling mental health stigmas, mental health awareness through education, and strategies for overcoming mental health challenges. I'm your host, Darius Fennell, and I'm a mental health and therapy advocate, published author, speaker, and coach. I'm so excited for you to be here. I'm so excited to get into this next episode. So if you're ready, let's go. And welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Anxiety podcast. This is season 1, episode 8. And today we'll be talking about the power of visualization. This is one of many tools that is extremely helpful when it comes to any type of mental health recovery. It's something I've done in my personal life. It's something that has been used in therapy. It's something that I've used to write my book, Leaving Jupiter, Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery. And it's essentially, we do this all the time. The use of our imagination. If you are familiar with catastrophic thinking or catastrophic thoughts as a function of the cognitive behavioral therapy in the category of cognitive distortions, then you understand the use of the imagination. In this case, for catastrophic thoughts, catastrophic thinking, if you are skilled in the art of doing that, which I had inherited the nickname Doomsayer at a very young age, because I would always say, well, what if this happens? And that what if was always a worst case scenario. But what made it more vivid for myself was it was something that I visualized, and then I talked about it, I spoke about it. And to me, especially as a younger child, guess what? It felt real. And so what I came to learn, especially in therapy, is that subconscious mind doesn't really distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It's listening and looking for information, and mostly bent on scanning for threats. So if you throw a certain idea at it that seems somewhat dangerous, then the subconscious mind is going to react. Your body is going to react. The alarm within you is going to react. And sometimes it can lead to even more catastrophic thoughts and the spiral that can lead into an anxiety attack or even a panic attack. But we can actually leverage this for the good. And this was a paradigm shift that I learned in therapy, where my therapist had me, sit, and we got really quiet. I think there was a little bit of soft music, and she just began to ask me a series of questions, right? I had some struggles with driving over long distance. I mean, anything was over an hour, I struggled with that. And mostly because one of my first big panic attacks happened while I was driving. So, you attach your mind remembers what you experienced. And so one of the first questions is, well, how did that start off? Okay. And so the mind begins to anticipate and say, well, this is how it happened last time. So I got to gear up and protect you. Here comes the adrenaline. Here comes the cortisol. Here comes the other thoughts that are indeed excessive and hypervigilant, but at its core essence, your subconscious mind is trying to keep you safe, right? And it will do that by any means necessary and does not care about your comfort level. If it knows it's going to get you to respond, get your attention, and get you to take action, it will do it. Whether it's accompanied with dissociation or heart palpitations or tight chest, tight throat, feel like you can't catch your breath, right? All those things feel like they're also dangerous. And if you're like myself, who's gone through a wide variety of tests and realized that physiologically there's nothing wrong with your body, then this is just your subconscious mind, the alarm in the body, trying to get your attention and trying to keep you safe. Over the top, hypervigilant, as well as just really exaggerating things, exaggerating truths, and even making up stuff with the intention of getting you to take action to do something to keep you safe. Right? It's over the top. It's like having an overactive alarm system in your house. Right? I think I said this before in another podcast. If a burglar was trying to break in, you want the alarm to go off. If a housefly flew into a window, you don't want the alarm to go off. It's just a housefly bumped into your window. It should not be ringing the same alarm as somebody who actually took a hammer and broke a window and is trying to make their way in. Right? So the power of visualization is basically projecting what you would like to experience in terms of what you see and in terms of what you feel, and you bring it into the present moment. You do it so repetitiously that it becomes so familiar that when you actually encounter that thing, your subconscious mind is going to say, okay, what have we repetitiously done? We've encountered this thing. This is the program we're going to use and how we're going to respond and react to this thing. So out of consistency, you can change your programming of how your subconscious mind responds. Right? I have even used like a Google Sheet or a PowerPoint chart and found pictures that I would use to say, in these circumstances, this is not just what I want to be, this is who I am. Right? And so I'm taking the thing that I want to be, that I want to experience, and I'm phrasing it, even when I make the affirmations about it, I'm saying it as if it has already happened and is happening right now. And if you do that enough, it's the same thing. We do the same thing when we worry. Right? You're ruminating, you're constantly thinking about what could happen. Right? And how do you feel when you do that? It's like you're experiencing it right now, even though it hasn't happened, even though it may never happen. You are feeling it right now, as if it did. Well, you can pull out the Uno reverse card and make that same thing true for things that are positive, for things that are inspiring, for things that you want to encounter, things you want to experience. You bring the future that hasn't happened yet. Same way you do it worry. You bring the future into the present moment. I mean, you don't even realize you already know how to do it. It's just if you are prone to having anxiety, if you're prone to catastrophic thoughts, like I have been, like I'll say I still do it. I just have to, I'm more about catching myself, having awareness to say, okay, I'm doing that thing again, in a non-judgmental way, no shaming, just saying, okay, is there another way? That's another question that my therapist would ask me. Is there another way to look at this? Yes, there is. And my other therapist would say, is there any evidence right now, right in front of you, that would suggest that whatever you're worried about is happening right now? Do you have any proof or evidence? 99% of the time, I did not have it. It was just an anticipatory thing to say, well, if it could happen, then I might as well act like it is going to happen so I can prepare for the worst and try to do damage control before anything has happened. And that is just no way to live. And there's no end to it. There's no satisfying the anxious mind. It's never satisfied. You answer one question, it will whack-a-mole you and bring about something else. Maybe even worse. Or additional questions like, okay, well, you saw that one. What about this? And if that's true, then what about these 5 other things? Dang. Well, good luck getting some sleep tonight. You're going to be exhausted. Right? And so that comes into one of the other things I had to realize is it's okay to live with uncertainty. Now, if you said that to me 10 years ago, I'd be like, get out of my face. I don't want to hear that. It either fits in this bucket or that bucket, and nothing else. No room for nuance, no room for gray. I just want to be able to have peace of mind by categorizing everything into a good bucket and a bad bucket. And then we take all the stuff in the bad bucket and try to figure out how to fix it. And we actually ignore the good bucket because it's not a threat, right? Again, no way to live. But you can absolutely be intentional about who it is you want to be, what you want to experience, and how you would like your mind and body to respond to things through what you visualize and what you say about about what you visualize and what you feel and experience as if it has already happened, the same way you would do for worry. So again, this isn't anything new if you're familiar with anxiety. It's not. You are very accustomed to the mechanism that I just talked about. Now we're using it as a superpower rather than something that is debilitating and takes you right out of the day, right? You wake up ruminating. You wake up worrying. You wake up thinking about the worst thing that could happen in the day. And then the day's over because you spent all day trying to resolve that, avoid it, freeze, fight, flight, all that stuff. It never ends until you are, I wouldn't even say go to sleep. You are just so exhausted from all the overthinking that you did. You don't have any choice but to go to sleep. Right? And if your body has an alarm in it, it might wake you up at 3 in the morning. I don't know what it is about that magical 3 a.m., but those who are prone to anxiety know the magical 3 a.m. time. They up, here we go. And you're not going back to sleep. You know? But again, we can pull out the Uno reverse card and say, you know what? I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to take command. And I'm going to retrain my mind how to think and experience things. And I'm actually going to create how the day is going to go. Not waiting to respond to a thought that comes across my brain, but I'm going to say, today I choose to experience joy. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. Go online, find a picture of someone who probably looks like you, or heck, now you got AI. You can take your own picture and say, hey, put me in a crowd of people, or, show a picture of me just being super happy, right? ChatGPT or some of the newer ones that now you can just upload something and give it a good prompt and it'll make you do whatever you ask it to do, right? Utilize all that stuff for positive things, right? If you picture yourself sitting in a chair or looking at a sunset or doing something that brings you joy, like for me, astrophotography, right? Last night was a strawberry moon. I didn't use my telescope, but I definitely went outside to look at it because it's one of the things that brings me peace. Don't know what it is about the sky, the night sky, and looking at planets or whatever, but when I do it, I feel amazing. And so my therapist reminded me, you have to nourish your soul. And so those things that bring you that type of peace and joy, do them. Stop putting them off. You don't have to do it for a long time. I mean, I think maybe half an hour at most when I was really into it. Sometimes I bring a chair or I'd go live with other people on TikTok, and it's just something that I really enjoyed. So you have to find what those things are for you. But if you aren't able to do them, you can still visualize yourself doing them, right? You can look at what that is, create some type of collage with each one having a picture of yourself doing something that you enjoy, experiencing something that you enjoy, feeling something that you enjoy. And so you don't have to wait for circumstances to feel that way. You can revisit it the same way you revisit a painful memory. Somebody passed away, or you failed an exam, or got into a car accident, right? All those things can be relived in the mind over and over again as if they actually are happening right now. Why not take that same superpower and use it for something positive, to experience joy, to experience peace, right? And it don't cost you anything to do it. These are very simple things. I talk about putting together an anxiety toolkit in my book, Leaving Jupiter, Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery. This is just one of the tools. Visualizing, right? If there's a song that takes you back to a very happy memory, play it. Turn it on and play it right in the middle of whatever you're feeling. It doesn't mean that you're trying to run away from the real feelings that you're going through. If you're grieving, go ahead and grieve, right? But you don't want to stay in that place forever, right? Or there's a duality of experiencing things at the same time. You can be going through a hard time and still have periods of joy and peace in the midst of those things, right? So getting away from the all or nothing, like, well, if I'm sad, then how or why should I experience joy? Well, we experience a lot of things, right? At the same time. There's a lot of things that are happening at the same time. It doesn't make them any less real, or you put them on a back burner and say, well, I can't experience that right now. You absolutely can. Right? But this is why I will continue. Again, it doesn't matter how many podcast episodes I do. I will forever advocate for going to therapy to help you manage those things. If it becomes overwhelming, talk to your therapist to come up with a strategy to help you to manage all that stuff. Manage is not a bad word. It's just not the end all, right? But you should be able to manage. The same way if you need medication for a season, it's helping you to manage. But the end goal is to do the work, right? And as you do the work, you are growing. And as you grow, the same way you learn how to ride a bike, there's a point where the training wheels come off because you've done the work. And how's the work done? Through repetition, consistency, compassion. And so after a while, you look up and it's like, oh, I don't need this anymore. I've graduated on to other things. I'm in physical therapy right now, and my physical therapist say, you know what? You don't need to do the exercise anymore. We're past that point now. Now we're going to do some heavier lifting. No, I don't want to. But you're ready for it. Because now you have the resiliency that you can handle that weight. And that's the muscle that you want to develop, the resiliency. Expanding your window of tolerance. The allostatic load that you're able to handle widens. Not so you can take on more and burn yourself out again, but so that you can enjoy life, a balanced life. It's going to have the ups and downs, but when a down comes, it should not be taking you out, debilitating you to the point where you can't even function. Right? Now, can life throw you certain blows that'll do that? Absolutely. But every little thing, no. Nope. This is where these tools come into play. And you proactively, intentionally do them so that when the moment becomes a moment, you've already got the programming to handle it. And in a way that is balanced, that is peaceful, that is joyful, and is not necessarily full of just ruminating and obsessing over the worst possible scenario. Right? How many times are you going to go around that mountain? How many times are you going to be just, taken out by this thing? And so you have a choice, and that's where the power comes from. And as you are consistent with doing these things and you start to see the growth, consistency leads to confidence. That's what debilitating anxiety can take from you. And once you lose your confidence, like things that you normally have mastered, you don't even want to try them now. It's like, man, that one time I could do this, at one time I was a mastery at this, but it's gone. Why? Because another set of programming came in and told you couldn't do it. And you believed it, and it became an automatically run thing. When different scenarios come up, something discomfort comes up, here's a program that's run. But the good news is you can change that program back to having yourself empowered to handle life as a conqueror, as a thriver, and not just trying to survive and get through the day. Right? So it is a choice, but it's a good choice to do with a licensed professional, because pacing is very important. You can unlock certain things that you are not ready to handle, certain emotions that have been trapped for years that you are not ready to handle. Now it's here and you don't know what to do, and you've spiraled back to a place, or even a deeper, darker place than when you were before. That's why you need to go to therapy. Your best friend, it's good to have sounding boards, but you need someone who is professionally trained to help you walk this thing out. Walk out this recovery, walk out this healing. Right? And it's important to have someone who knows you well enough to say, you know what? I think we need to slow down here, or like mine said, I'm fearful that you're going to spiral. And guess what? I did spiral. But I was in their care, and so the resiliency and the bounce back was in a matter of weeks, making a couple of adjustments, looking in hindsight to say, how did we get here? How do we prevent this from happening again? What are some things we can do to recognize that is happening, even though she saw it before I did? And so, yeah, take that time to visualize. Grab a picture, use AI, use whatever tool you want, and create the future that you want to have. Create the person that you want to be. Experience the things that you want to experience right now, so that the mind is programmed, and when the moment becomes a moment, it is familiar. That is the other piece that people don't realize, is if you've been in a debilitated state of anxiety for so long, peace and stillness actually can feel like a threat, because you're so used to scanning for danger. You're so used to looking for things to go wrong and be wrong, that when it's actually calm, you don't know how to handle it. So it's not just getting free, it's renewing and reprogramming the mind to handle that peace, to handle that joy, and realizing that you are deserving of it. And it's not like, oh, well, every time something good happens, I get the rug pulled out and it's followed by something catastrophic. It doesn't have to be. And even if it did, you couldn't control it anyway. So why worry about something that you cannot control? Right? So action item. Think about 3 different things. 1, who do I want to be? 2, what do I want to experience? And 3, how do I want to reprogram how I respond to things? Right? So it's the person, it's the experience, it's the program. That should be a journal entry. That'd be a good journal entry. Right? And as you revisit those things on a daily basis, that consistency will begin to reprogram the subconscious mind, and the consistency will build confidence. So that what is familiar is peace. What is familiar is joy. What is familiar is the things that you want to experience and create, versus reacting and trying to survive. You are a conqueror, you are a thriver, and you are a creator. And you want to talk about experiencing something exhilarating, get those 3. Right? Because now life is on your terms. And it doesn't mean that bad things won't happen. It doesn't mean that you want to experience ups and downs. Now you can handle it. Now it's not so debilitating that, oh, I'm back in the rut again. I'm back in the dark place again. I'm back in the rock bottom. I don't know what to do. Well, you know what to do. Get your visualizations. And as you look at the visualizations, make a declaration to say whatever it is that's future, put it into present tense. Then you pause, and whatever it would feel like, experience it now. Reprogramming the mind and the emotion until that thing actually becomes real. And then it manifests. It's got to. The same way you expect bad things to happen if you're a chronic worrier, Sometimes you manifest those things because you were looking for it. You were focusing on it. That's where your energy goes. So why not focus on something positive and something that you actually want and something that is actually of value and something that can be a fruit to others, right? Don't just let it stop with yourself. But just like on an airplane, put the mask on yourself first before you try to help other people. If you're not experiencing joy and peace, don't go out of your way to try to give it to other people. It's a nice gesture. It's noble, but it's out of balance and you are abandoning yourself. And that is not love. All right. So again, thank you for listening to this episode. This is season 1, episode 8, about the power of visualization and how you have that power right in front of you anytime you want to use it. It's one of many tools. It's not a magic bullet. It's not a magic fix, but it's one of many tools that you can use. And again, go to therapy, talk about that tool with them. Right? I've had it used in many sessions. It's extremely helpful. And then I've taken that thing and used it in my own private time and watched it work. Again, that's how I wrote my book. Had doubts along the way. Oh, who's going to read this? Da, da, da. Nope. Got a picture of myself or a picture of someone who looked like me. And they were holding a book. And I said, I'm a published author. Every day until that book was finished being written. And it got to the point where after a while, I couldn't believe anything else. You know, I am a published author. I said it before it happened. I looked at it and that allowed me to be able to do the work. So when I didn't feel motivated, the program is already there. It's got to happen now. It's got to happen now. Now that I have some wonderful people in my corner and tools to help me get there along the way. Shout out to Impact University and Jasmine Womack and crew. Absolutely. Critical part. And I also had to add to that the belief in myself and giving myself expanding the confidence, not only to do the work, but to believe that this is who I am, not just what I do, not what I can just produce, but this is who I am. Therefore, this is what I do. And guess what? You can expand that to any area of your life. So get on it, make it happen, visualize, and watch it manifest in your life. I'm Darius Fennell from the Beyond Anxiety Podcast, telling you to find your recovery path. Till next time, Whole Champions, take care.